Hey Dogs here, Luke here, and in today's video I want to show you my 1985 Volkswagen Golf Mk2 GTI, and specifically I want to show you why I'm not keeping this car and why I'm not fixing it up. I seen this car a couple of weeks ago. I was just driving through a town nearby, and out of the corner of my eye, underneath some trees on a patch of grass, I seen this thing looking pretty sorry for itself. Long story short, after doing a couple of calls, found the guy who owned the car. He told me how much he wanted for it, bought it off him, brought it back home, and that's it. I didn't even know what I was doing with the car. I didn't know whether I was going to keep it, fix it, break it up, sell it back on. I've decided to sell the car back on for a number of reasons. Now, in terms of Golfs, I'm not a lover of Golfs. I like them, I appreciate them, and I can see exactly why people do like Golfs, but to me, the holy grail of hot hatches from the 80s is the 205 GTI, and that's where my heart is going to be, because my first car was a 205. Now, if this was a 205, I would definitely be doing this car up and paying whatever it takes to get this car done up, but it's just not the case with the Golf. So what we have here is a very, very early Mk2 GTI, and it has a number of differences to later Mk2s. It's referred to by Golf people, I don't know what you call Golf people, I'm going to call them Golfers. It's referred to as Golfers as a Type 19, which basically means pre-facelift, and there's quite a few changes cosmetically and mechanically around the car, which I'll get to in a second. But the thing about this car that struck me is how original it is. This made it through the 80s, and especially the 90s, when everything had the shit modified out of them. This remains completely original through that time, and it was laid up in 2005, and it's not moved since. Well, at least not under its own power. So yeah, you know, it'd be a shame to break this up because it's original. It's also rare, because the Golfs that survived were the facelifted ones, which are specifically more like the 16 valve and the later modified or reintroduced 8 valve variants. From what I understand, these original Golfs were available in the 8 valve engine with the K-Jetronic engine up the front. A couple of years later, like around 87, the 16 valve was introduced, which everyone knows and loves, and then somewhere around 89, the 8 valve was reintroduced back into the range along the 16 valve. But that had, for example, I think it had like a brain, had an ECU, where this one is completely mechanical, and it's the same engine, I believe, that you'd find in the Mark 1 GTI. So it's quite rare in its sense. I've looked on eBay, can't see any of these around, so it's hard to put value on the car. So I'm probably going to stick on an auction and people can pay what they think it's worth. But everything is here. Inside, we've got the entire interior, which is in pretty good condition considering all things. It's not got like massive tears and rips. It's not badly stained. It will clean up pretty well. We've got all the door cards, all the seats, even got the parcel shelf. Headliner is here. The only thing missing out the interior is the radio, but that's not too big of a deal because I'm smart and I can think for myself. I came up with an ingenious solution. Now, for example, here I have a Stranger Things cassette tape that I bought, which has a cassette. Remember these things, which are very period specific, and I have my old JVC. So, you know, who needs a radio where I can take my own boombox with me, and it fits perfectly under the passenger footwell. So, you know, I don't need a radio. I'm set. Yeah. All joking aside though, it's actually a nice little place to be. For the era of the car, it's surprisingly solid, and I can see why Volkswagens at this era just got that reputation of being better built. I mean, yeah, compare it to a 205 inside, it's night and day of how much better this thing is built. It doesn't feel bad to me by any means. And my favourite thing is, let me just move this camera back away from the door. Can you still see me? Yeah. Listen to this. Pretty much as good as my Volvo. For a door to shut like this on a 35-year-old Super Mini is phenomenal. It sounds better than most new cars. It's really, just really solid. It's definitely my favourite thing of the car, the way this door shuts. Now, as we have the door shut, let's talk about one thing this car has that later ones don't, and this is the quarter lights. And this is part of what's referred to as a Type 19 Golf, because I think like around the 86 or 87 they facelifted it and they put a single pane of glass in here. The mirrors moved forwards, and then there was lots of other changes as well. The interior changed, the switch gear is different on these early ones. and there's changes around the front as well. So the 7-slat grille went to 5. Like I said, the engine changed and the wheels changed as well. This has Pirelli wheels on them. Some call them Pirelli alloys because they have the Pirelli logo in them. Even has all 4 centre caps, which must be near impossible to find these days. Even has all 4 wheel arch covers for all the corners. Like I said, everything is just here, which is astounding. And only thing I can find outside that's missing is the GTI badges, which someone seems to have nabbed off them. But for a 35-year-old car, that's not bad going just to have a couple of badges missing. So what's the issue with the car, considering it seems to be so solid and rare? Why bother not doing up? It's solid in ways, and in other ways it's not. Actually, let's firstly start with the engine. It doesn't run. The engine is good. I have had it running for a small time. We've just put in some easy starts near the air intake, and it fires up. It sounds good. In fact, apparently it was refurbished less than 100 miles ago, and then it was laid up around 2005 and sat in Anglesey for 14 years before being moved somewhere local for a year and then coming into my possession. But there seems to be a problem with the fuel pump. Fuel's not getting to the engine, so we don't know whether that's a relay, don't know whether that's the pump. Apparently there's 2 pumps on these. So I'm not going any further looking at that, but if someone wants to hear of running with some easy starts, they can. Okay, down here, sills are all very good. It's the same all around the car. The doors, for the most part, are all pretty good as well. So you can see all that, a little bit of rust to the bottom. But again, that's nothing for a 35-year-old car. This back door is perfect. If you look all around the arches, everything is really, really neat. So that's great for the next owner. The roof is good. Of course, the paintwork is absolutely shocking. It needs a complete respray. That's too far gone to save. And there's a big hole in the roof. But again, that's a panel that pop out. So none of that is a concern for me. Pretty much exact same story around the back of the car. And then we get to the driver's side and things get a little bit worse, but nothing like that's too bad, all things considering. The worst part of it is, see that there? Yeah, that door is completely rotten, but you know, if you look around the arches around it, it's all good. So we're bolting another door on, that's not an issue. This driver's door is good as well. A little bit of rust to the bottom, but nothing worse on the passenger side. And again, just look at those arches. The covers are off these at the moment, but I do have them. And they are great, all things considered. And they're those Pirelli wheels I was on about before. Quite unique. See the Pirelli logo in them? That's a quite a unique little choice. And around the front, as you can see, everything is there as it should be. So it's a little bit bright, so my camera can't really focus properly, but as you can see, all the cars there. And just for the sake of showing you, nice and clean underneath here. Surface rust to the engine, but all the inner wings and everything are in remarkably good condition. The problem with this car is when you get down on your hands and knees and you get underneath and you look, now you can see the problem. See this floor here? Completely gone. You can see the outside of the car from inside, which is not a good sign. And I've never welded in my life, so I don't want to start tackling this. I mean, if I was going to start welding, I'd tackle something like that to begin with. But underneath here, that's just too much work for me to start off, and it's structural, so it takes someone specialised to be able to do something like this. The rest of the car underneath is actually really solid. Sills are all good. The back's solid. The front left is solid. It's just this front right and the full well that's corroded away, which is a real shame. And I think if it wasn't for that, I would have restored this car and go back on the roads. But you know, I think I just need to realise where it stops, where my expertise stops, where my skill stops, and admit to myself that this is too big of a job for me to do. But what I'm going to do is take the money, the profits off this car, and you know that trading up service I'm doing, where I'm kind of like just seeing how far I can flip cars and how much money I make and like how nice of a car I can end up with. I'm just going to take the profits off this, reinvest it in the trading up series and put it into car number 3. Now I do have car number 3 at the moment as well, which I will show you very, very soon. It'll be coming in the next couple of weeks. It's getting some paintwork done at the moment, and I think it's going to be a good choice. And I swapped the A4 for the car, so yeah, hang tight if you want to see that car. Now I'm going to use that money, I think, off the Golf just to use as the repair budget on car number 3. So if you want to see that and the rest of the trading up series, Basically, go and check out the videos I've done. I've done like the whole thing on the V70, loads of detail on that. Started off with a £200 Ford Fusion, which is I'm working my way up from, and there's a playlist linked at the end of this video if you want to see that. But until then, thank you all for watching. Hit that bell notification and subscribe button if you want to see more content like this in the future. But until then, see you soon and take care.